green in Mill Hall. Welcome to episode number 4 of the Lock Haven University Coaches Show. I'm Jonathan Schwab, and we are at Haywoods on the green in Mill Hall as we bring you live interview Lock Haven University coaches looking back on what has happened over the previous weeks and looking ahead to the weeks to come. If you're with us at Haywoods on this Tuesday evening, thank you so much for joining us. If you're listening on Saturday on the Bear Country Sports Network, we are an hour away from kickoff. Lock Haven University football finally at home as they welcome Westchester to town.
And the pregame for that will be at 1:30. Another program that has to be pretty excited to finally be playing at home. I am so thrilled to be joined by Lock Haven University head women's volleyball coach Shannon Gerencir. Shannon, finally home for your team, but a lot to recap over the first 3 weekends of the season. And as we look at those first 3 weekends, we would be remiss if we didn't ask you about your first full off season leading this Lock Haven program. And let's face it, it's just different when you have the full off season to work with. What were the off season goals for you and your program?
In the off season, we wanted to get faster and we wanted to get stronger. And I think that we also wanted to make sure that they came together as a team. We definitely are faster and we definitely are stronger. They came in after that off season and were really ready to go in camp. And having them for that spring off season was just absolutely the best thing that we could have had.
You have so many young kids on your team. You open up at Edinboro, and the last match of that tournament, you pick up your first win of the year against Davis and Elkins. From a confidence standpoint, how important was it to come away from that weekend with a win?
It was really important for us to come away with a win. We lost a really close match to Fairmont State, and they were a tournament team the year before. And we knew going into that tournament that we were going to see some really tough competition in Walsh, in Bellarmine, and also in Fairmont State. So having played the first two for tournament teams, and then Fairmont State, which was an NCAA tournament team, we did a really good job, and they were really close matches. So even though we came away with those losses, going into that last match of the tournament was a really necessary for us to get that win, and they came away victorious. It was great.
The last 2 weekends, a lot of good to be said about those. 6-2 over those 2 weekends. A lot of those matches against Mountain East Conference competition, and of course your background, it was the old West Virginia Intercollegiate Athletic Conference, and I'm aging myself when I mention that. That doesn't exist anymore. But
no.
Your knowledge of whatever that conference is or was, and your knowledge of those teams, how much did that help you over the last 2 weekends?
It helped a lot to know what we were going to go up against. And, they're still regional opponents, so we wanted to go in and get some regional wins, which we did. So that was great, and we knew that they were going to be competition for us. We knew that they were going to be somebody that we could potentially see if we make it to regional tournament. So it was nice that I knew and was familiar with a whole lot of actually all of the teams that were there. So that was a good thing, so that I knew the background and the way the coaches were. There were a lot of new coaches, though, so that was a little bit different. There were some different systems that we saw, but it was really helpful for me to have that knowledge beforehand of those teams.
When you're scouting against coaches that you don't have a lot of background with, how do you prepare with the limited film and the limited knowledge?
It's just to watch tendencies. It's the same as anything. There are less plays, of course, than in football, so you just want to see what hitters' tendencies, what defensive tendencies are, and make sure that your team is ready for that in certain rotations to make sure that they know where they can go and what to expect.
From that 6-2 run over the last 2 weekends, what pleased you the most?
Just the way that they played together, and they really had to fight. There were several times that we were down and would come back to be victorious, and I mean down 4, down 5, and that's a lot in a rally scoring match. So the way that they came together and everybody played and everybody participated. There were freshmen coming up off the bench when they needed to. So it was a total team effort to get those wins, and it was just really nice to see everybody work together and pull those out.
And that transitions well into my next question. What do you view as the greatest strength of the overall group this season?
I think that their greatest strength is their attitude and just their willingness to go after and win. They're really, really driven. they're driven in the classroom. So now it's transferring a whole lot more over into the athletic part of it. So they're really driven to do their best, and it's great to see.
Joined by Lock Haven University head women's volleyball coach Shannon Gerencir on the Lock Haven University Coaches Show live from Haywoods on the Green in Mill Hall. So as we talk on Tuesday night, you are now getting ready for PSAC play. So how well do you believe your non-conference schedule prepared you for the PSAC grind?
I think that the first tournament especially gave us a good preparation for what we're going to expect. And some of the teams we saw, the PSAC teams who we play this weekend, have played against as well. So we know that where we match up, and we know what they did against them, we know what we did against them. So I think that it really has prepared us, especially for this first weekend of competition. Also, being able to see Edinboro at Edinboro, the very first tournament, was a really good perk of that tournament. So we're really prepared for Slippery Rock and for Edinboro, so I think that we have a pretty good chance of doing something big.
How much are you looking forward to coaching a home match?
I'm so excited to be home. There's so many reasons to be excited to be home. The kids are tired of being on the road. I'm tired of being on the road. They're really excited. They have a good record to come in. They're expecting, crowds to be there. It's homecoming. So there are all kinds of wonderful reasons to be at home, and we're really excited to finally be here.
That's a good way to put it. Finally. It has been a long journey. I didn't add up the miles, but between you guys and football, you've both logged a lot of travel over the first 3 weekends of 2017.
We have been travelers, very, very much so, for the first 3 weeks, and it's really great to finally be home.
A lot of bus movies, too.
A lot of bus movies. A lot of bus movies.
So what should fans know about each of your opponents for this weekend? Again, for those listening, on Saturday, the Slippery Rock match would already be in the books. Edinboro, your Saturday opponent. But for those listening on Tuesday, either on the online stream or in person at Haywoods on the Green, what should folks know about Slippery Rock and Edinboro?
Slippery Rock is always really tough, and they're always defensively strong, and they have a big team, so they put up a big block. And Edinboro is really, really fast, and they have a strong defensive team as well. And when we saw them, they just subbed liberos like crazy. They had a different one every set, which is kind of different. So it's going to be a little bit harder to read what they're going to put out against us. But they both are really tough teams, and we look forward to giving them a really good show.
So Saturday night, Slippery Rock. Saturday afternoon, I believe it is,
yes.
Edinboro at the Thomas Fieldhouse. Looking forward to both of those matches. We move on now to our One for Fun with Shannon Gerencir. I've noticed as I try to get more into the social media realm that you are very active with social media. What's your favorite aspect of social media?
I love to, that's a tough one. I love to make sure that our kids have a presence on social media that's positive. And we have campers who follow our girls, and they make sure that everything is really nice, and they like to see what the girls are doing. So I love to put up all of the wins and all of the coach quotes and all of those kind of things, and so that everybody who's younger, who's coming up in the sport, can see what you can do when you get to college, and that people will follow you, and that you can be a role model.
I want to follow that with a more serious question, because I think it's something that it's getting said somewhat, but anytime you can repeat it to the high school level, how important is it for these kids who want to be recruited to understand the importance of what they're putting out on social media?
It's incredibly important for them to know, not only just to be recruited, but for a job. I mean, now that's becoming a thing that everyone looks at your social media and knows that, even if you think that you're hiding something, you're not doing the best job. So always make sure that you put your best face forward when you're going to do anything on social media, always.
Lock Haven University head women's volleyball coach Shannon Gerencir, thank you so much for coming and giving us some of your time. And it's been a really nice start. We're looking forward to seeing how your team does in PSAC play, starting hopefully with wins over Slippery Rock and Edinboro this weekend.
Thank you.
When we come back on the Lock Haven University Coaches Show, we will be joined by Lock Haven University head football coach Dave Kaner. This is the Lock Haven University Coaches Show, presented by the Bear Country Sports Network.
Friends and family, when you go to Haywoods on the Green Lane, or on their big screen TVs. Hey, good job. Good job. Stop streaming. That's Haywoods, but there's special things.